All right, everybody, welcome back. Did we all enjoy the Lord's chicken? Amen. I've always wanted to say that on microphone, so I'm glad that I did. Also, I gotta say, it's super weird. I know that y'all are used to it now, but for Mr. Gentry's hair to have switched from it being short hair with a little coif with a long beard to now it transferred to his hair, which is weird. But it's a good time. You look nice. That didn't happen to me. I just continued to be bald. I know.
Oh, that's so sad.
Oh man, little Debbie Downer. But that hurts because it's true. So I love you guys. That's hilarious. I'll talk to you afterwards. I'm just kidding. All right, so we're going to jump into our third session today. It's going to be awesome. We have a wonderful speaker that is going to bring the house down and is going to bring the word. So if you would, go ahead and stand. Yeah.
Awesome, y'all ready to worship? We're gonna sing. I'm trying. I tried so hard to see it. Took me so long to believe it. You choose someone like me to carry your victory. Perfection could never hurt it. You give what we don't deserve it. You take the broken things and raise them to glory. You are my champion. Giants fall and you stand undefeated. Every battle you won, I am who you say I am. You crown me with confidence. I'm seated in the heavenly place, undefeated, with the one who has conquered it all. I've tried so hard to see it. It took me so long to receive it. You choose someone like me to carry your victory. Perfection could never hurt it. We give what we don't deserve it. You take the broken things and raise them to glory. You are my champion. Giants fall and you stand undefeated. Every battle you've won, I am who you say I am. You crown me with confidence. I'm seated in the heavenly place, undefeated, with the one who has conquered it all. Oh, I'm seated with you, Jesus. Let's sing when I lift. When I lift my voice and shout, every wall comes crashing down. I have the authority Jesus has given me. When I open up my mouth, miracles start breaking out. I have the authority Jesus has given me. When I lift my Sing you are one more time. You are my champion. Giants fall and you stand undefeated. Every battle you've won. I am who you say I am. You crown me with confidence. I am seated in a heavenly place, undefeated, with the one who has conquered it all.
You know that God's love is good. Just lift your hands. Just surrender to God, because He's loved you so much. He goes out of His way just to nourish you and love on you. I want you to help me sing today. If you know the songs, just sing them out loud. It doesn't matter who's next to you, and if you know how to sing or don't know how to sing, let's all just sing together in reverence to God. shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no lie you won't tear down, wall you won't kick down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. No wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. No wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Don't be overwhelmed, never ending, reckless love. Though it chases me down, might still not find leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Don't be overwhelmed, never ending, reckless love. As we worship you, God, you have loved us. How he loves, how he loves. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. And how he loves us. Sing it out loud right there where you are. Oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us. Oh, he's jealous. He is jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. All of a sudden, I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great this brothers and our sisters and our classmates, Father, and our teachers. Because your love for us is so good. We love you and bless you in the name of Jesus. And everybody said,
All right, guys. Well, we have a couple of special guests, but first, Miss Harmon's going to come up to make some announcements real quick. Have y'all enjoyed worship so far? Yeah? Awesome. There you go.
This one, that one, whichever one. Okay. Except he's taller than me. Good morning. Afternoon. It's afternoon now. It's been a long day. So I want to introduce you guys to a couple of my new friends. This is Mr. Lincoln and Mr. Aiken. They're going to come up and talk to you about one of the projects that you're going to be doing this afternoon. So after you leave worship here, you get to do the service part of Spiritual Renewal Day. And one of the projects that we have for you guys is called Sleep in Heavenly Peace, and these guys are going to tell you a little bit about it. There you go.
Good afternoon. I'm Gary Aiken, and thank you for letting us be a part of your
I'll make sure they can hear you. You're taller than me.
of your Spiritual Renewal Day. It's been a lot of fun already. SHP was formed in 2012 by just a couple of guys like Thomas and I, in that they got together at Christmas time and decided they were going to build beds for some less fortunate people in their neighborhood in Twin Falls, Idaho. As the story goes, the kids were kind of grumbling about what they didn't get for Christmas afterwards, and Luke Mickelson, the founder, said, I got some lumber left over, let's go to the garage and build another bunk bed. He did, and he put it on Facebook, and really the rest is history. Now the truth of the matter is they went along for about 8 or 9 years, and they got up to about 8 or 9 chapters scattered around the countryside. And then a guy by the name of Mike Rowe, and returning the favor, came to tell the world about what they were doing. I saw it on Facebook, and in 2018, August 2018, we formed our local chapter. SHP nationally, about 2 months ago, since 2012, has delivered 62,500 beds in this country. That's a lot of kids off the board. We delivered to children 3 to 17 that don't have a bed of their own. They're either sleeping on the floor, sleeping on a pallet, sleeping with grandma, or sleeping with mom. In other words, they don't have their own bed, and that's all the qualifications we asked. Our chapter, like I say, was formed in 2018. We got a bunch of people together that volunteered. The Met Church gave us a building to build in. And since 2018, with 6 months off for COVID, we've delivered almost 1,400 beds in Northwest Houston. Thank you. Thomas is going to discuss a little bit about how you might get involved in helping us build those beds other than just today.
Good afternoon. A little bit louder here, I guess. So today you guys are going to go build beds with us. We're going to build the entire bed. We're out there. The high school just did it this morning in 2 groups. It was a lot of fun. And I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun. And just to kind of help you understand, when we're doing this, it's about the immediate community we're in. So we deliver beds to people that live within a mile of here and that are unfortunate, and they're in situations that they need support from outside charities like Sleep in Heavenly Peace. There was one particular time back in December of 2018 where Gary asked me if I could go make a delivery. He goes, I know it's almost Christmas, but if you could come make this delivery, it would help out. And so I got Lance, and we loaded up, and we met another guy that's here today that's helping, and we went and made this delivery, and it was 2 deliveries in this apartment complex, not 2 miles from here. And the second delivery went in there, and we put the bunk together. It was 2 boys, 5 and 6, and a girl that was 12. And we get in the apartment, and there's a couch, and there's a husband and wife are there, and the kids are there, and they're all excited. And we go in and we put the bunk together. That's what we do in there in the other room. And when we're done, we bring the kids in, and the bunk's together. It's made. They can play on it. And the kids, the 2 boys, are jumping up and down the bunk beds, and the girl sits down, and she gets kind of excited and smiling, and there's a little tear in her eye, and you know, it was like pretty cool stuff. We see that when we deliver. But then when we left, the mom was just thanking us over and wanted to give us a hug, and I said, we just said, Merry Christmas, have a great Christmas. She goes, you don't understand what our lives, what's happened to us in the past 2 weeks. And she pulls her phone out, and she shows us a video of her apartment up in flames from 10 days before. And she said they lost everything. And so it brought a lot of appreciation. This was on December 23rd, and that was kind of their Christmas because they didn't have anything. We left there, they had a bunk bed and a single bed and a couch. And I think they may have had a Christmas tree, but they really lost everything. So when I think about what we're doing out here today and what we do on the weekends when we're at the Met and making these deliveries, it makes a true impact on people's families and on our lives. So we're hoping you'll have a good time today doing this with us. But more importantly, you guys all need service hours, right? That's something you got to have here. You got to do service hours. Well, a good way to do that is through Sleep in Heavenly Peace. So we're gonna get with Ms. Harmon. We're gonna get a link, and you guys can sign up. We have a build at the Met Church on Saturday, March 20th, and then we have a delivery on Saturday, March 27th, and we'll have stuff going on during the summer as well. So you can gain hours if you choose, if this is something you enjoy, and you can be a part of our organization. So just thank you for your time. Thanks for coming out. We look forward to seeing you here in a little while over at our station, and have a good afternoon.
Try to cut down on some of the wind by turning that mic off. Awesome, guys. Today has been a blast so far. Thank you all for coming out and participating in everything that we do. We're getting ready to transition to our message for our final meeting as a whole before y'all go into service today. So one more time, give it up for Mr. Janae and his friends that he brought with him. I don't know if you feel this way, but whenever we sing How He Loves and there's no lyrics, I'm always kind of up in the air if it's going to be a sloppy wet kiss or an unforeseen kiss. And so, I was just there. I didn't know what we were going to go with. But so our speaker for this last session her name's Hannah Connor. Anyone here go to Faithbridge? Faithbridge kids? Yeah, William, I heard you go there. So a lot of y'all go to Faithbridge. Well, Faithbridge has an organization that is run through their church known as Bridging for Tomorrow, and Hannah helps lead Bridging for Tomorrow. You may have seen her at church. She's spoken there before as well as working at Bridging for Tomorrow, guys. And so she is going to give us our message for today, continuing this theme of being a part of something bigger. So if y'all would give your attention to Hannah.
Hey Northland, how's it going? I'm so glad to be with you guys today. I am with Bridging for Tomorrow, and you guys have done a bunch of great work for us in the past, so it's pretty cool to see your faces. Hopefully the wind doesn't blow away my Bible. I'm Hannah Connor, and like Josh said, I'm with Bridging for Tomorrow, and I've been in Texas for about 2 years now. Before that, I lived in London in the UK for 3 years with my family as missionaries. Got to do a lot of cool things. In the UK, I got to go to Parliament with work once. We were there when Meghan and Harry got married. Scandalous. One of my favorite memories of being in London was I went to see The Last Jedi there with my friend Vanya. I grew up as a big Star Wars fan. My brothers and I were huge fans. So I've gone to see all of the new movies, opening night, been there. There's nothing like the beginning of a Star Wars movie, if you ask me. The John Williams music comes up, the words start to roll. It's just a real moment. So you can imagine that I might have been a little perturbed in the theater when the movie's just about to start and this troupe of teenage guys comes in and start acting a fool. They were talking, they were shining their phones around, they were like throwing food at each other. And I looked around and I realized I am the only American here. No one else is going to do anything about this situation. It falls to my shoulders. So I decided I was going to yell at them. I've never yelled at anyone in a movie theater, so I started to really psych myself up for it. The only problem was I had real bad laryngitis for 2 weeks. So basically for 2 weeks I had not spoken above a whisper. So I knew I'm going to have to give it everything. or I'll just scream as loud as I can, and it'll probably come out like a shout. It won't be too aggressive. It'll be just right. So I kind of braced myself, and I screamed as loud as I could. I said, "Be quiet!" And the noise that came out of me, it didn't sound human. It was like nothing I had ever heard. It was effective. I scared my poor friend to death. She had no idea what I was about to do. And the boys who were being crazy turned around. They all turned around like this. And they said, "What was that?" But they left. So it worked. My mission was accomplished. The movie started and got to watch in peace. I got that moment of watching the beginning of an epic story start. One of my favorite parts of a movie, the very beginning. It sets the tone for everything. Which is why I've always been a little disappointed in the way the New Testament begins. I am no expert, but Matthew 1, do you know what it is? It's a genealogy. Genealogy is like, so-and-so is the father of so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Not one of, I think, the most riveting parts of the Bible. Apparently, the authors disagreed. If I had been consulted, I would have probably steered things gently towards Luke 2. That's where we kind of act like the story starts anyway. It's the Bible, the Christmas story. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. That's a good beginning, if you ask me. But I think there's probably something to be learned from the way that the Holy Spirit decided the whole New Testament was going to be kicked off. That's what we're going to talk about today. And in order to do that, I am going to read the genealogy. I'm going to go real fast. Stay with me. There are two names that I will not get right. I've read it like 10 times this morning. It's not going to happen. So, here we go. The book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac, Isaac begot Jacob, Jacob begot Judah and his brothers. Judah begot Perez and Zerah by Tamar. Perez begot Hezron, Hezron begot Ram. Ram begot Amminadab, Amminadab begot Nahshon, and Nahshon begot Salmon. Salmon begot Boaz by Rahab, Boaz begot Obed by Ruth. Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David the king. All right, round 2. David the king begot Solomon by her who had been the wife of Uriah. Solomon begot Rehoboam. Rehoboam begot Abijah, Abijah begot Asa, Asa begot Jehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat begot Joram, Joram begot Uzziah, Uzziah begot Jotham, Jotham begot Ahaz, Ahaz begot Hezekiah, Hezekiah begot Manasseh, Manasseh, Amon, Amon begot Josiah, Josiah begot Jeconiah and his brothers about the time they were carried away to Babylon. All right, home stretch. After they were brought to Babylon, Jeconiah begot, this is the one, Shealtiel, that can't be it. And Shealtiel begot Zerubbabel, Zerubbabel begot Abiud, Abiud begot Eliakim, Eliakim begot Azor, Azor begot Zadok, Zadok begot Achim, Achim begot Eliud, Eliud begot Eleazar, Eleazar begot Mathan, and Mathan begot Jacob. And Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ. There's not a magi, there are not any presents, there's not a star, there aren't even any angels. It's not where I would have gone. But I think that actually Matthew is probably onto something. When we think about who he was writing to, Matthew was writing to a Jewish audience. And to a contemporary Jewish audience, this genealogy would have hit way different. He starts off with a real crowd pleaser. Son of Abraham, son of David. Calling Jesus the son of Abraham means that he is a Jew, undoubtedly, unquestionably. And calling him the son of David is saying, like, this guy actually has a right to rule Israel. He's not just some nobody. Not just that, but Abraham and David are two people that God made a promise to. He told both of them, the Messiah will come from your descendants. So, to a Jewish audience, they would have been on the edge of their seat. It's all going real well, until it goes a little sideways. It gets wonky, because ladies show up. Matthew talks about 4 Old Testament women in this genealogy. Women do not go in biblical genealogies. Not only are there 4 women, they're foreigners, and they're all perceived as being kind of shrouded in some kind of scandal. So while the audience that heard this was probably shocked, I think Matthew was doing them a favor. He was giving them a heads up. He was like, hey fellas, just so you know, when Jesus shows up, he might upset you a little bit. Just have an open mind when he gets here, okay? To us, though, including these women it's a great thing. And we can learn a couple of things about what it means to be part of God's family when we look at these women who are included. The first thing that we can learn is that God's family surprises us. My husband and I worked at a church for several years, and one day he got a call from this guy who we went to high school with. Apparently, this guy heard Jason Connor is working at this church now. Then he was like, no way. No, not him. I don't believe it. So he called the church and asked for my husband just to see if it was true. He's like, you're working at a church? That's the kind of response the audience would have had to hearing names like Rahab in this genealogy. They're like, wait, Rahab, woman of the evening, Rahab? They would have been shocking. God's family surprises us. Not only does God's family surprise us, but you can't get kicked out of the family for messing up. So I've already talked a little bit about Star Wars. Clearly a loser. I'm just going to keep going in that vein. There is the first Star Wars movie, in the 70s when they were filming it. I know technically it's the 4th, don't tell me that, I know. But the first one in the 70s when they were filming it, they've got these 3 actors, and George Lucas makes them all sign a contract. This is the kind of contract that if your moms could get you to sign it, they would do it. This contract says, I will not do anything dangerous. No motorcycle riding, no skydiving, no juggling with knives, because George Lucas needed these actors so he could finish his trilogy. So we got Harrison Ford, who's Han Solo, Carrie Fisher, who's Princess Leia, and Mark Hamill, who's Luke Skywalker, all signed this contract, and one of them broke it pretty quick. Mark Hamill, who's Luke Skywalker, decided that he was going to take a motorcycle and cruise down the freeway at 75 miles an hour, and he wrecked, and he just absolutely demolished his face. They actually had to take cartilage from his ear to rebuild his nose. And what do you imagine he's thinking as he is sitting in the hospital with his Voldemort nose waiting to be rebuilt? He's probably thinking, that's it, I'm out. George Lucas had every right to say, you know what? I gave you a chance, you broke your contract, I'm finding a new Luke Skywalker. But what he did instead was write a new beginning to The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke Skywalker gets mauled by some kind of abominable snowman. And the changes that happened to his face were incorporated into the storyline. The genealogy is full of some messed up people. But God doesn't kick anyone out because of that. He finds a way to weave everyone's story into his greater story. And finally, we can know that God's family is full of faith, but maybe not in the way that we would expect. I want to read you guys a quote from C.S. Lewis real quick. He says, when a man who has been perverted from his youth and taught that cruelty is the right thing, when he does some tiny kindness or refrains from some cruelty he might have done, and therefore risks being laughed at by his friends, he may, in God's eyes, be doing more than you or I if we gave up life itself for a friend. Someone raised to be cruel, if they do some tiny good thing, in God's eyes, it might be more than if you or I laid down our lives for a friend. Does that sound like a double standard? It isn't. God requires a full measure of faith from all of us, but he requires it in different ways. Like, let's look at Abraham and Rahab, 2 people in the genealogy. Abraham's claim to fame is that he had so much faith he was ready to give up Isaac. But God had shown himself to Abraham over and over in huge ways. Abraham's faith was a response to how much of himself God had shown. Rahab hid some spies. That was it. And she gets included in the genealogy too. God showed about this much of himself